The day began like any other day. It was a typical Sunday morning. We were going to church, got ready to go. My stepdad had just finished fixing our lawnmower and had brought it back to the house, and the grass was still wet, and he told my mom he was going to go sink some worms. He had a few left in his bucket, and he was going to go sink some worms and wait for the grass to dry. I was sitting in the church, and it was 11:20, and my phone buzzes, and it's my sister, and it says, "Daddy's fell in the river, and I don't think it's good." And so I got my husband, who was sitting beside me, and our son, who was sitting in front of us, and I said, we've got to go. Something's happened to Curtis. When we got there, they already had the boat landing taped off in yellow tape. It was just crazy. My mom had just gotten there, and there was a man there who lived beside the boat landing, and Curtis was friends with him, and he had talked to Curtis right before he went out into the river that day, and apparently, I guess when Curtis fell out of the boat, he yelled for him to help him because he was out in his yard, and he said, "Help me, Ray, help me." And by the time he got back out, there was no sign of Curtis. So our first thought is he has swam to the side of the shore, and he's probably in the woods somewhere, and probably already walking back out towards the road. But days turned into a week, still no Curtis. On day 13, it was a Saturday morning, I got a call from my brother, and he said that they found him, and they had found Curtis in Gulf County, and he was actually born in Gulf County. So I feel like his story ended where it began. It began in the same county where he was born. He was the best dad. He walked me down the aisle on my wedding day. He was there for my kids. For someone who didn't have to be who he was my dad. He had told my sister the time before they were on the river that the next time they needed to wear their life jackets because the water was bad. But he was just going to be gone for a few hours. But he didn't put his life jacket on that day. For some reason, I don't know why. I know we all have our time when we're going to go. I just never knew that day would be his time. But he wasn't out on the water very long before it all happened, and we still don't even know really what happened. All we know is that somehow he was thrown from his boat, but the water was really cold, and it was high. He managed to get his boots and his jacket off, so he was trying, but he just didn't make it. And because anybody can drown, anybody. I mean, this is a grown man who lived on the river. I mean, he hunted, he fished all the time, and he didn't make it. We always thought he was this invincible man. Nothing's going to happen to Curtis, and, he wasn't scared of anything and thought we were crazy because we were. But we learned that day that he wasn't invincible, that it could happen to anybody. So I just want people to learn and to remember to please, please, please wear your life jacket. It's so important, and you just don't know how important it is until you lose somebody.